Good morning, everyone. It's beautiful outside. It's very calm in here. I want to welcome Sean and Fabiana. It's their first time here. Hope you guys liked the session. I'll explain to you how we go about the studies today. So we start with reading a chapter of the book, The Truth, The Way, the Truth, and Life, from Francisco Xavier, channel dictated by the Spirit Emmanuel. So Emmanuel has a series of books where he takes passages of the Bible and he explains each passage. So it's very enlightening to learn directly from an highly evolved spirit that actually lived during the time of Jesus and related to him. So I'm very grateful for that. And today, Carol will help us reading that, and then she's going to briefly talk about the passage. And then we have a good friend, Claudia, from the Spirit Center Fraternity and Love, which is nearby here. I think you're still there, right? On the 48th? Yeah. And after the lecture, we do the passes. So usually you do in this room, and everyone sits here, and we pass the energy, and then we do a final prayer, and we go home happy and try to practice what we learn here today. Okay?
Good morning, everyone. I didn't know that I was opening today.
It means you're ready.
Okay, but I'm not running away from a good challenge. Okay, so today we are reading the topic from the book, The Way, the Truth, and the Life, from Francisco Cândido Xavier and Emmanuel. And the topic is, who are you? So, but the evil spirit answered them, Jesus, I know, and I know very well who Paul is, but you, who are you? Any expression of commerce is based on the power of acquisition. In order to obtain, it's necessary to possess. The interchange between the terrestrial and spirit worlds obey the same principle. In the commercial transactions of Caesar, coins or fiduciary documents with his likeness were required. In exchange with the spirit world, highly individualistic qualities with the signs of Christ are required. The currency of Jesus is love. Without it, no one can rightfully take part in the sacred commerce of souls. The verse quoted above is a kindly warning to those who, for the enlightenment of others, invoke the Master without bearing a living title from his school of sacrifice. Especially regarding relations with the invisible plane, one must be careful to avoid random statements. Do not take your chances in such activities without the purchasing power of Jesus' love. The unfortunate adversaries of the Master know who he is, and they know who his true disciples are. The enemies of the light recognize their sublime worth. Therefore, when you take part in this kind endeavor, do not forget your own identity, because the agents of evil will probably ask you who you are. Emmanuel. So through this passage, it's how many times somebody comes to us and asks us, who are we? And we always think, our answers are, I'm a mother of someone, I'm a father of someone. You talk about your profession, I'm a psychologist, I'm an accountant, or I am a son, a daughter, but nobody talks about who they really are. We only play roles. And those roles that we play, we feel very comfortable in talking about them, but we don't feel comfortable talking about our true coins, those coins that we're gonna take with us to the invisible world, to our real plane, to the real world. This is just a temporary, and we talk only about the temporary place that we take in life. So, and thinking about that, the reason why we think like that, because it feels very uncomfortable for us to face ourselves and to see where we are staying in that point in life. And it's very easy to worship Jesus instead of following his footsteps. Because when you worship someone, you just put someone in a pedestal, and that's it. You don't have to do anything. And it's very easy for us to do that. However, when we are faced with that question, very simple question, but so hard to answer. And who are we? We are true beings of light. We carry God's essence within ourselves. But where are we? Emmanuel said that one of the things that is very important in life is discipline. And through discipline, we can break that cycle of our patterns, our very sick patterns. We're always make the same mistakes every time. So to break those cycles, those patterns, we have to face that question: who are we? Where are we standing in Jesus' teachings? What we're doing to get there? How or when we gonna become true beings of light? True beings of light. So we have this light within ourselves. We just have to know how to unleash and unlock it. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Let's do a prayer. Father, thank you for the silence that helps us connect to you, listen to a good spirits that guide us each day. Thank you, Jesus, for your teachings, but most importantly, for your presence here right now. May your blessings, your peace, your love be with us in this moment of learning. May your blessings be with our friend Claudia, who brings us her dedicated studies and share the knowledge with everyone. Thank you. So be it.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Are you guys listening to me? I'm going to take a little bit down because I feel like I cannot see. Sorry. So good morning again, and it's very good to be here. Been quite a while. I don't come to Conscious, and it's always a pleasure to be here, to see so many friends.
Well, there is a lot of people that I don't know. It's most likely because it's been quite a while I don't come, right? But anyways, it's a house of friends, and it's funny. And I talk with Teresa that maybe you guys know, because sometimes she comes as well, and how much comfortable we are here, because it is truly a house of friends and brothers and sisters. So it's very good to be here again. And today we are going to talk about blessed are the meek and the peace loving. And probably everyone that comes in here to talk about the gospel, they will say this is the most important chapter that we need to study nowadays. And this one is exactly like the same. And one of the reasons for that is because we are going through so much things out there. It's so much turmoil, so much violence, prejudice. Every day we turn on the TV and we see something happening out there. And sometimes we feel really exhausted, and sometimes we feel like, wow, are we really going to regeneration? Are we really advancing ourselves? Are we progressing? Because it seems that we are walking backwards, right? Seems like we are becoming more savages than really civilization, as we would love to say that we are civilized. But actually, if we think about when we are going to remodel a house, and let's say that we have a very old house, that we live very comfortable, window that does not open anymore, there is that door that when opens make that awful noise, there is that little room that sometimes we need to put a bucket because when rains start dropping water inside, and then it comes to a moment you say, you know what, we need to remodel. And we start thinking about this house is going to be and how loving and all this. But when the remodelation starts, it's chaos. Because then all those noises, the dust is going to start coming in, right? And we are going to start to stress ourselves. And we are not maybe so used to have all that movement around us anymore. And maybe the house just have 2 or 3 bedrooms, and someone wants to have a bedroom by themselves. Let's say that the kids have grown up, right? But in order to have an extra room, maybe another part of the house needs to be reduced. So someone most likely will need to give up something. And that comes a problem. I had my beautiful room. Why now I need to share a space? Why do I need to give up something that I already have it? And that's when the problems start happening, when we need to give up on something. And if we think about, until now, we were very comfortable on living according to our own beliefs, according to what somebody told us that was the right thing to do, and we act as we were told that was the right thing. And if we think different, oh no, that's not good. Or if we don't have that specific characteristics, maybe we won't have the same opportunities in life, but too bad for you, because this is what is a successful person. And even if you are more intelligent, even if you are capable of, you are not giving the right to. And today this is changing a lot. With communication, with the internet, with all this information that we have been receiving, we no longer accept that. We no longer can accept that. Because now, if you are capable, does not matter if you fit the profile or not, you're going to start having a chance out there. And some people that were very comfortable in their position, they will complain. As a son would complain if they need to give a little bit of the space. So we are in a moment of transition, and this moment of transition, it is very hard. And certain things that was very deep inside of us, you're going to start coming out. Because now we need to share some things, we need to change ways of doing things, and we need to be more accepting towards what others also want and deserve. So it's harder. It's a lot harder to deal with. And in order for us to be able to deal with all these changes and all these differences, we need to be really a virtuous person. And who Who's here can really say they don't have some kind of prejudice, or does not, or can say that never misunderstood anyone? Most of us, I think I can comfortably say that 99% of us have some kind of prejudice, have some kind of misunderstanding towards the other way of people lives. And sometimes we like to say, oh no, I'm an open mind and I accept everyone the way they are. But then when we are there, out there, and somebody comes in a way that we are not used to, we realize that it's not like that. And we are gotten surprised, because we love to say that yes, we are gentle in manners, we can accept everyone the way they are, we accept all religions, we accept, but then a person tells us, oh, I am an atheist. Oh my God, right? And then we start seeing that we don't accept that much. Or the other person is from a religion that says, oh no, this sounds awful. And we start no longer being that gentle manner, that meek, that kind, right? And it is very hard. So this lesson, this chapter 9, is for every single one of us. And we can find in the Spirit's book explanation of what a virtuous man is. And it says that truly virtuous man is he who practices the law of justice, love, and charity in its greatest purity. If he interrogates his conscience in regard to the acts accomplished by him, he will ask himself whether he has done nothing wrong, whether he has done all the good in his power, whether no one has cause to complain of him, and whether he has done to others all he would wish others do to him. Being filled with sentiment of charity and kindness for all, he does good for his own sake, without hope of reward, and sacrifices his own interest to justice. Sacrifice his own interest to justice. How many of us can do that? I can tell you, most of the time I cannot. And that's very hard, because when it goes against my interest, when someone tells me, oh, maybe you're not going to have a bread tomorrow, oh my God, then starts the problem. And we are living in these days of turmoil, violence, and misunderstanding, because we are afraid. We are afraid of tomorrow not having enough, of tomorrow not having a good job, of tomorrow not having food in our tables. And then we think about, and most of us here are immigrants, oh, but those immigrants that is coming, they are not going to work hard enough as we would, or they are going to take my job. And then we start becoming afraid. And we forget about our capacity, our competence to do and do well. And most important, we forget about we are sons of God. And He wants the best for us. So we don't have that faith to really and truly believe that we are here to go through experiences, to learn, to become better spirits. We don't have that strong faith that God is taking care of every single one of us. Every single one of us. No matter religion, no matter culture, no matter nothing. Think about the worst person on the face of earth today. That person is also son of God. And that person is also being taken care of. And that person will also have the opportunity tomorrow to be a good person, to be a better person. Let's put it this way, right? And this chapter, it brings us several virtues that we need to improve in ourselves to become this gentle in nature, this meek person, in order for us to be able to go through this transition time in a better way. And who knows, sooner we can be in a planet that everyone is more gentle in manner, are more kind towards each other, and then we can live finally in peace as we all want to. And the first one talks about affability and kindness. So how am I going to be kind to one another? What can I do to be more gentle? To do to others what they want to do to me, I want them to do to me. right? What can I do in order, when I'm out there, even if I don't agree with what the person is doing, how can I be more gentle? And many times we think that we are very loving, and we smile, and we are the best we can be, but to certain kind of people we are not. How many times have we heard about someone that is very loving in their house, but like tyrants at their work, or vice versa? When they are in society, they are this very loving person, but when they are with their families, they want to be obeyed no matter what. So the gospel tells us to have milk and honey flowing from your lips isn't enough. Your heart has to correspond with the feelings you express, or you're simply being a hypocrite. On the other hand, people whose friendliness and mildness are not a mere pretense never find themselves leading contradictory lives, because they are the same, both in society and in private. So when we talk about being kind, we need to think about the way I treat my sons are the same way I'm treating somebody else's sons? Maybe not. So what can I do in order to be more loving, to be more kind, and to be a better person? Because the sons that I have are given to me by God. What if tomorrow this other person is going to be my son, or vice versa, right? So many times we act in one way with certain people, and then we act different with others. And we need to think about, how can I be more coherent, more, correspond what I say to every single one around me. So the gospel tells us that sometimes we are very quickly to say, no, I'm a good person, I treat everyone well enough. So, but then someone appears, and then we are not that lovely, that kind, right? So what is that I can do in order to be a better person? And however, the gospel is like a manual for us to learn to be better persons. It does not give us like a recipe. And the way for that is that not every single one of us act in a exactly same way. So I cannot tell you how to be more kind, because maybe you are more kind than I am. And how can I teach you to be kinder, right? So you need to look into yourself and say, what is that I do well? What is that I do good? What is that people tells me that I'm good at? How can I use this virtue in a better way? How can I spread this virtue toward every single one around me? It's easier for us to get something that we already have and improve than to have to get something that we don't have and start making it from the scratch, right? So if we are a little bit kind with someone, what do I do with this person? How can I also do that with others around me? So it is for every single one of us at the end of our days, or whatever time we have available, to think about what kind of virtue that I already have. What good I already do? What is people tell me that I'm good at? How can I improve that? How can I be even better on this virtue? Another one is patience, and could not be different. In our days, I think patience is something that is completely missing, right, from the picture. Every single day, I wake up and I say, today I will be more patient. And as I open the door, something happens. And all my decision goes away. And lately, I'm driving a lot. Then you can imagine, right? As soon as I get I-95, the patience was long gone. It's just thinking about it, and that's it. And how many times we let very little things just to make us lose patience. Sometimes I'm so impatient that I said, oh my God, I think when I came to Earth, when I went to the line of patience, the line was so long that I did not have patience to wait. And I think that a lot of people did not get the line because, patience is missing. And most of us does not have patience. So it is something that we need to work on. What can I do to be a more patient person? What can I do to be more tolerant, to be more accepting, to understand other people's mistakes, because I do mistakes too. Sometimes, when I'm a little bit more relaxed, I can remember all the things, the wrong things I have done in traffic, and then I calm myself down, and sometimes I have a person that cuts me. Oh, I have done that too before. So I am a little bit more patient with that person. Oh, there was that day that I was driving slower than usual, so let the person be. And so I try to think about the many times that I made mistakes in the traffic, so I can be more patient too. And I try to put that in other areas of my life as well, to become more patient. Sometimes work, sometimes don't work, right? Sometimes we are less patient, and then it's harder to work on. But if we do this little exercise often, we will see that we are more capable of tolerate other people's mistake, because then we are going to remember, hey, you know what? I do the same. I have done the same. I might not do that anymore, but I have done until, very few years ago, or not long enough, right? So let's have more patience. If we want other people to tolerate us, to be patient with us, then we also need to do the same. And if we are here today, that's because we want to be better persons, right? So in order to do that, we need to do an effort. We cannot just wait the others do what we think is the right thing. If we think that's the right thing to do, then we need to start as fast as we can. So the gospel tells us we are well aware of how difficult life can be. It is composed of so many little difficulties that seems like pinpricks, but that, repeated often enough, end up hurting badly. Still, if you look carefully at the duties you've been called to fulfill and at the resources and support you've received, you have to admit that the number of blessings is far greater than the number of pains. And that's true. How many blessings we receive every day, not once in a while, but every day. Today I went to the beach before coming here. Oh my God, that was gorgeous. And I was sitting there, and the ocean and the sky and everything. That was so beautiful, and I could relax a little bit. That's a blessing right there. How many people have the opportunity to go to the beach in the morning? And there are so many other things. How many of us, in a moment of difficulty, we had a friend giving us support? Even if it was just a smile, just a hand, just their ears listening all the complaints that we had. Many of us have that. Most of us have our houses, food on the table all day, as many as we want to. So that is not a blessing. How many people are starving? So we are blessed every single day. If we focus on the problems of the day, all the difficulties that we have along the day, that's all we are going to see. But if we can look also the blessings, not ignore the difficulties, because we need to work on them. They are there for us to overcome. But if we look enough the blessings that we received every single day, then it will be easier for us go through the days and do whatever it is that we can. What is a difficult? What is an obstacle? It's not something that we don't know how to deal yet. So most likely, if we are capable, and if we learn how to deal with that obstacle, with that difficulty, next time that comes, it's no longer a difficult, it's no longer an obstacle, it's just something else that we are capable of dealing with. So it's not a problem anymore. All these obstacles that comes in our lives is to make us stronger, is to make us more capable, really, to deal with whatever comes in our way. So let's not focus on that. That is for us to be more strong and to learn and to go along with our lives and learn to be better and to learn to be stronger, really. Right? So let's think about that. What are the blessings that I received today? If every day we think about our blessings, will be easier to deal with whatever problem that comes our way. Obedience and fortitude. Jesus constantly teaches fortitude and obedience to the law, two virtues that alongside gentleness and mildness of character. Unfortunately, many have mistaken such teachings to be negation of will and self-determination. In fact, obedience is the consent of your reason, resignation the consent of your heart. Both are active forces. Both help shoulder the burdens necessary to your purification. And that's true. When we talk, especially when we talk about obedience, sounds like yes, no, right? Just obeying what the other person is saying. But it's not exactly that. Obedience is understanding why you need to do that and do it. Sometimes we see that this is not good, but that's nothing we can do about. Then it's time for us to be resignated and to go through the best way we can, expecting that the day of tomorrow we will be able to do something. But it's not in a passive way. It's not that we are going to do wrong things. Let's say, for example, here in Florida, capital punishment and abortion is legal. Well, as spiritists, we know that we shall not kill. So what is that our way of doing it? We don't kill. But if somebody on my side do it, who am I to judge? Who am I to point fingers? Well, let me try to give the help the person needs if the person asks me whatever help they need to. And instead of judging, let me resignate to the fact that the person cannot at that moment understand why capital punishment is not okay. I'm not going to be judging. Am I going to judge why? Let me accept what the person is doing. They are not capable yet to understand, and do my best in order to help this person in whatever way they need to once they have already done whatever it is that they did. Right? It's just not judging. We try to understand that the person does not have at that moment the capacity to understand things the way we do, to see that this is not the best way to live their lives. But we don't judge. We leave everyone to do the way they want to. If we have the opportunity to, then we will express our thoughts. We will say why we are against. And that's for whatever situation in life. How many times we see wrong things happening? Sometimes we can do something about. Other times, that's nothing we can do. So be resignated is not to accept the bad per se and start doing it the same, but to understand at that moment, that's nothing you can do about. You cannot call the police to someone that's gonna say that's gonna do an abortion, because in this state, abortion is legal, right? So there are times that you need to think about and say, okay, that's nothing I can do. So let me be within myself, do a prayer, and wait. This spirit is going to be helped too. So what can I do? What is the best I can do in this moment? But accept that the circumstances cannot be changed. So basically, resignation is not a passive acceptance, but understand that that moment, the situation cannot be changed. Whatever is my desire to change the situation or not. Anger. It's funny that after so many virtues, they put a vice, right? But I think that anger, it's so much present within all of us that was necessary to address. And if we think about in our days, anger is an emotion that is very natural still for every single one of us. The problem with anger is that many times anger drive our emotions. We act according what anger is telling us at the moment to do. If we can just be capable of understanding what anger is telling us, then maybe we will be able to act in a better way. Because we need to understand that our behavior impacts others. So and the behavior of others impact us as well, right? So let's say that someone do something towards me and I start feeling angry about it. okay, why am I angry about this? Is hurting my pride? It's because I know this is wrong. What can I do about it? But use reason. Think about it. What is that I can do in a situation like that? What happened with anger at most of the time, we just allowed our instincts to talk very loud and we mess the situation because we just quickly respond to the action without really thinking about it. And the gospel tells us your bouts of rage make you resemble savages, since they take away all your self-control and reason. Their origin, if you look for it, will nearly always be found in hurt pride. And how many times have you seen in TV this violence comes from hurt pride? Most of the time. And most of the time when we feel angry, when we act in anger, most of the time pride is what our pride have been hurt, and that's why we reacted that way. But if we can use this emotion to help ourselves to think better what is going on in here, then we have one more tool to, with reason, act in the best way possible. All the emotions that we have, they are normal, they are created to make us understand what's going on around us. It's just that if we don't reason about it, is when we start acting in a way that is not appropriate, that is more like savages than the civilized beings that we want all to be. Because people wrongly believe that their nature can't be changed, they often consider themselves relieved of their responsibilities of trying to correct their faults. This applies especially to faults that they willingly indulge in, the pursuit of pleasure, or that would require a great deal of persistence and inner strength to eliminate. And how many times have we heard this? And how many times have we said that, oh, it's the way I am. I cannot change. I have tried, I cannot change. It's like this. If you like me, deal with it. Really? That's horrible when we say that. And if we really think about that, how many times have we said that? Because sometimes we are just take for granted that we are that way, that we think we cannot change, or that failure takes time. But no, everything, all the virtues and vices that we have, they are to be worked on. Nobody expects us to be perfect the next day. We are not to have all this patience in the world. We are not to be very, very much tolerant. We are not to just lose all anger and just be this unbelievable being who's here expect to be a Mother Teresa by the end of their lives. Bad news, no one of us, right? Because it takes a lot to be a person like that. It takes so much that most likely the majority of us are not going to even get near that by the end of this life. We need to work on step by step. It's one step of a time. And if you are an impatient person, try working first on what you already have instead of thinking about all the things that you do that you don't like. Because sometimes it's easier to increase than to reduce, right? So if we are a little bit we have a little bit of patience, let's work on our patience a little bit more. If we are loving person and everybody tells us, oh, you're so kind and so this and so that, oh well, then I already have this kind of virtue, let me improve a little bit more, right? And then suddenly we have some kind of vices that we feel uncomfortable with and say, oh my God, why do I still do this kind of thing? I already know this is not the best. This is not what I want to do. So let me try working a little bit. How can I be more tolerant? How can I be more patient? And try looking for the virtue that is contrary to that vice and start working on it. And step by step, really. It's just that sometimes just being aware of the wrong things that we do, it's enough for us to start changing. The first and most important thing for us is to be aware of. If you are not even aware of all the wrongdoings that you do, most likely you're gonna commit to something that you're not gonna do it because you're not understanding, you're not seeing it in yourself, right? And so awareness is the first step. Become aware, what is that you do that you think you need to change? And then start step by step making that progress, making that change within yourself. In today's stressful times, anguish, disguised as fear, anxiety, and guilt, is people's constant companion. Clearly, this is due to the many pressures to which they are subjected. The anxiety of exorbitant pleasures produces frustration, violence breeds fear, and timidity sets the dynamics of self-punishment in motion. Such phantasms are responsible for countless ills. Remove them from your mind. You are God's child. He loves, protects, and blesses you. Consciously return to the pathway of duty instead of surrendering to unnecessary turmoil. This comes from the book Happy Life by Divaldo and the spirit Joanna de Angelis. And it's a very good summary of what we have been talking in here. Because how many of us are living in anguish, in fear, in anxiety, and in guilt? How many of us have done things that we clearly understand that's not the best for ourselves and those around us, those that we love? And then we feel guilty about being the way we are and doing things the way we are doing it. But instead of this guilt, it tells at the end, let's look for what is the best for me to do in these circumstances. How can I be a better person? Not only for the others, but for myself. Because every time that we do something that is not good, we suffer one way or another. Sometimes we are very hard and we think that's the best way to be. And we don't realize how people are away from us. We think we are doing the best, and then suddenly we realize that, hey, that friend is not as friendly to me anymore. Or why those two are so much more friendly towards each other? How can those people like to be with each other and they don't look for me to be with them? What am I doing wrong? So sometimes instead, we realize that we have been acting very hard, very intolerant. But instead of feeling guilty, let's really think about what can I do? Because guilt does not help us. Might at the beginning, right, make us understand something is not good and we need to change. But then if we just stay there all the time just thinking about, oh my God, I did this wrong, I'm a horrible person, then what? You're not doing really anything to go forward. So let's try to think about, well, I need to improve this. What can I do? How can I be a better person? What can I contribute to make this society a better society? What can I do to make these times easier to go through? We know we are going through a time of transformation, and it's being a hard one. What can I do in order to make a little bit more kind, loving, more harmonious? How can I help those around me to go through these times in a better way? There are so many people out there that are not being able to handle this transition. We are seeing it, suicide going sky high. What can I do in order to help those around me to be able to go through this time in a better way? What can I do to go through these times in a better way? Because sometimes we look too much to others, and when we look to ourselves, we are on the brink of doing something wrong. So let's take care of ourselves too. Self-care is very important. Let's look towards our friends. Let's understand that sometimes we also need a hand. Let's not be so hard on ourselves. What can I do to be more loving, to be more harmonious? What can I do to be more tolerant, not only towards others, but towards myself? Because I have so many vices, and I have so many virtues that is not near enough to be the person that I would like to be. So when we work on those, when we think about that and we are more loving towards ourselves, automatically we can embrace other people in a better as well, in a better way. We can be more loving towards them as well, right? So if we can take something from this chapter, is really to think about what can I do in order to be more peaceful, in order to live in a more peaceful way. What can I do to be more gentle in manner? What can I do in order to be more gentle towards my difficulties and also towards other people's difficulties? And with this thought in mind, we always raise our thoughts and ask God to give us the strength to continue on going and to be able to every day be better than we were yesterday, and hoping that tomorrow will make us be even better than we are today. And God bless us all.
So we usually take a moment to ask questions and answer. If anyone has questions, Claudia will be glad to explain.
Questions or comments, right? Many times, not everything is said during a lecture. Sometimes as we are talking, somebody else comes with another idea or something that should complement what is being said. So not only questions, but if someone wants to add something, that would be also appreciated. Yeah.
I think you hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I think you hit the nail right on the head. That's why you don't have any questions.
Okay.
All right, so that's exactly what we're going to do right now, because it has to do with magnetism and electricity, how to conduce these energies. So this is the time that we have trained helpers, just like water, just like any conducer. The spiritual realm use us to conduce energy, to help us. And I'm going to ask Fernando, could you shut the light off? And so let's